I believe that we are.
It
Oh,
says recording. Yep.
we are recording. Well, hello, everyone, and welcome to our fourth boot Live to Give review, exit interview. Sadly, we are here with Miss Katura, Coach K, which I know people are reeling to get information about. But first, once again, I'm Sean, the casting producer here. I've been talking with Katura since about last October. And now we have Brandon. Brandon, do you want to introduce yourself once again?
Yeah, hi, I'm Brandon, the host and founder, and here with Coach K and Sean. Super excited to talk, get some perspective that we didn't get from episodes, and yeah, continue where we left off with casting. This is, I think, the first time we've been on a call together since your interview back, God knows how long ago. So I'm really excited to talk today.
November.
Yeah. So, yeah.
Well, thanks for having me, you guys. I'm super excited to be. Well, I can't say I'm too excited to be here, but it is what it is. So,
Hey, coming into this though, you are one of our furthest away people. You came from Las Vegas, so tell us a little bit how you even heard about our event in the first place, and give us a little bit about your casting background and what went through that. So
okay.
let's think before the game now.
Okay. So before the game, I met Dan Rengering, who was on Survivor David versus Goliath. And when I met Dan and his management, is when he had just returned home from filming. And so I was in a fan jury group on Facebook, and I had seen that there was this casting and for Live to Give, and it looked really, really fun and exciting. And so I was like, oh, I'm gonna look into it. And I tried it, and I thought, oh my gosh, what if I actually get it? That would be so cool. And then I didn't hear anything for a while, so I kind of just let it go. And cheer season started. I was on my way to I was actually at a cheer competition when you guys called me and asked for an interview on screen, and I was like, I'm kind of in the middle of a cheer competition.
Well, talking about that, so you do get the moniker Coach K throughout the season. Tell us a little bit
Yeah.
about your background and what you do, because it isn't like a job that many people have.
Okay, so actually, right now, what I do full time is I'm an executive assistant to an author who writes romance and suspense books. And so I actually had met Dan because I was scouting him as a cover model for one of our future books.
That's amazing.
Um,
Yeah.
oh, okay. So I got the name Coach K because as a coach, I also would teach small children. So I start at 14 months old is the youngest age that I teach. And because little kids, when they're learning to talk, they can't say my name because my name is so hard. So I just would tell them, oh, it's Coach K, Coach K. And so literally, I've had some kids that their first words were Coach K. It was really sweet. So and it's on my
Oh,
backpack because that's my cheer backpack that I use. So it's on my backpack at the game, and so that's why people started calling me Coach K. And then somehow I also
Oh.
got the name Coach Killer.
At Live to Give?
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
wow.
I didn't even know that.
Somebody, I forget who it was, but somebody kept saying Coach K, Coach Killer. I was like, what? What
It was
That's
happened?
so
probably
funny.
Chaos Cam.
Katura,
Oh, and Chaos Kim.
I mean, I know you talked about your coaching, you're an executive assistant for a big time author. Can you also kind of tell people that probably might have not known this, what you did for Survivor back in the day too? You did some work for CBS Survivor, didn't you?
I actually worked for CBS television, and I used to test television shows for research audiences. So, we would get the episode a week before it would come out, and then I would show the episode to an audience, and then I would do like an AC Nielsen computer program with them. I would go over it with them and rate the shows and rate the characters and see how people liked certain characters and how the editing was coming across. So I actually did that in the very, very beginning of Survivor. So I think Will was telling me, I think it was like season 4 and 5 that I tested. I couldn't remember because it was so long ago. I did it during college. It was like the best paying job while I was in college. So
Jeez, no
Awesome.
one gave me that job. Oh, jealous. Well, we've kind of given a little bit more background about you. You're from Las Vegas. Another little fun fact not many people had is sadly you had originally were going to play for another charity, and then we found out that they weren't going to be available anymore to raise money for. So last minute, you changed course and you were still able to knock out the fundraising. Can you tell a little bit about the struggles there? Talk about the charity you were initially going to play for and what that meant to you, and what the charity you ended up raising for meant to you.
Okay, well, at the time that I had applied, we were just approaching the first anniversary of the October 1 Route 91 harvest tragedy. And I have a lot of friends and neighbors and people that are very close to me that were, you know, they were there, they were shot, they were hurt. Some of them were first responders. My husband's a firefighter and a paramedic. And so I had a lot of our friends were first responders that night. You know, I have a lot of friends that were police officers that were there, that were part of breaching the room, things like that. So October 1 is a really, really, really big deal here in Las Vegas, and it's still talked about almost every day. It's crazy that we're almost 3 years out from it now, or 2 years out from it now, and it still is talked about often. So I chose a charity that was very close to my heart at the time because they were legislating in our governments for not so much gun control, but for just more sensible gun laws. And they were also lobbying for more support for victims of tragedies and mass shootings. And, you know, tragedies and mass shootings affect everyone in our country and all over the world. And I just felt like it was such an important thing to be able to support. So I had originally chosen this charity for that reason. Unfortunately, literally 2 days before the deadline for our fundraising,
2 days. You're
2
not even.
days. So like the deadline was Friday, and I found out Wednesday afternoon that the charity had closed the week before and was no longer accepting donations. And I went into a panic because not only was I just barely approaching the minimum amount to participate, but I also had no charity now to go to. And I just had felt like, oh my gosh, should I just give up now? Like, I didn't want to give up, and I was just feeling so defeated going and feeling like I wasn't going to make it. I wasn't going to have a charity to even give this money to, and I didn't know what else to do, and I was so stressed out. And so I had called one of my friends who's a firefighter and just explained to him, like, I don't know what to do. I feel like I should just give up. And he's always one of those people that was like, we don't ever give up. We go hard. We always da 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 da. So I knew, like, calling him, I wasn't going to give up, but I just needed somebody to give me that little push in the right direction. And he recommended like 3 different charities, and I slept on it that night. And the next morning I woke up and I made a phone call to the one that just felt strongest to me. And the woman answered the phone and she was like, wait, you want to do what? You're going to go and like compete on this show and then you're going to give us all the money for it? Like, are you sure? Like, she had to call 2 other people to verify that like this wasn't a joke. And then it turns out she works at the same office as my husband part-time. And when she made the connection to my husband and myself, then she was like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. So at the very last second, I did switch to the trauma intervention program of Las Vegas. And what was really important about switching to them is that they are also first responders, but they are all volunteer first responders. So they come out whenever there's a tragic event, and they volunteer to be a shoulder to cry on, to help you navigate through what happens through, you know, the coroner's office, and how do we help people that are coming in town to deal with, you know, family members that are deceased, and that whole process, which is so stressful and like so, oh my gosh, it's like the worst time of your life. Like, if you ever have to deal with that, it's the worst thing to ever go through. So this program is a army of volunteers that helps families and victims get through tragedies. And I just felt like, how could I have done anything better than coming to them?
And what's really
That
cool, Couture, about your, sorry, Sean, what's really
no.
cool, and I remember this about the casting process with you, we have a lot of out of state applicant. We really do. Obviously, we don't take all of them, and sometimes we, we try to localish, little outside local. We branched out more outside Minnesota, but what really affected me during casting with yours was that event that happened, the Route 91 Harvest Festival in Las Vegas. I don't know about Sean, but I know that affected me, and I wasn't even there. Like, you get chills thinking about it, you cry watching the news. And what was really cool about you was that through you coming and doing this event and raising for the tip of Las Vegas, I felt like we helped make a difference in something that I couldn't do otherwise. Like, I couldn't go to Las Vegas and do anything about that. And so what was really cool about your casting experience was that I know we all felt that there was some type of, you know, moral moral type of, we can help something even though we're not there. So I mean, that was really cool with specifically your interview and your application for me personally while you were going through that. So
I'm so glad.
And I think what stands out for me, and this is kind of where I was going to bounce off, was literally you, like Brandon just said, you stood out so much speaking about what your interview was, about what you're playing for. But then when you had the struggles at the end there with trying to find this next thing, as you brought up, to still represent what you wanted to represent, you went all out. I don't think I've ever seen any of our fundraisers, I'm just going to say that, go all out. You were auctioning stuff off, you were doing giveaways, you were online doing Facebook Lives. It was just unreal.
you
Like,
Yeah.
literally hit that $1,500 advantage at 11:57 p.m. the night of. And I remember texting Sean, and I was like, I don't know if Katura's gonna get it. She's like $20. No, she's like, I think you're $125 away from the 1,500. And
Yeah.
then someone gave you 100, and then you're like, here's the last 25. And I was like, okay. No, it was super cool to watch you. You went savage there at the end for sure, because I know you were going through a lot during, you know, the January to summer months and stuff. So honestly, kudos on that. So
So
now let's,
can I
what's that?
just say really fast, because most people don't know this and I've never talked about it through this whole process. What most nobody knows is that I got casted in November, like the week middle of November is when I did my casting interview. The first week of December, I took my mom to Los Angeles, from Las Vegas to Los Angeles, to go get evaluated because she had liver cirrhosis.
yeah.
And what was supposed to be a 3-day trip turned into 17 days because on the second day, my mom was hospitalized. And like, so I got the call that I was being casted literally while I was there. I was like, oh, great. Okay, awesome. And from December 1st until March 14th, I shut down. Like, my entire world shut down because everything revolved around keeping my mom alive, literally. So like, where everybody was like, come January 1st, they were all, everybody was fundraising and talking and organizing and all of these things. I was like, I'm just trying to survive and keep my family from starving to death because I'm not around to cook dinner and get them to and from school, and keeping my mom alive. And like, it was the hardest time of my life. And like, I remember everybody kept telling me, Katura, like, you have so much happening that it's okay to say no. Like, it's okay to back out. It's still early enough. Like, not that you guys were doing that, but you kept saying, like, Katura, if it's too much, we're okay. Like, we understand. And like, you had plenty of time that you could have filled my spot right away. But I was so determined that I was not going to give up because I was not going to let Las Vegas not be represented. Like, ooh, that hurt. I just hit my arm.
You're fine.
But like, I just remember like being so stressed out, and like people don't realize my mom was minutes away from dying when she received a life-saving transplant. Like, minutes, 3 minutes before she was being sent to hospice, they found a liver for her. And so like, I literally spent my entire 4 months right there just for worrying about her. And then I had to live in Los Angeles for another 2 months after that. So I had no time to do any fundraising until
you did it. You hit
until
the
the end.
$1,500 advantage.
Well, and not even that. You also did fundraising for your mom too. I remember that, and I was like, this woman. My heart goes out to her, and you never gave up, honestly. And we never gave up on you either, because you guys have 8 months. So I was like, at that point, you had more money than some people. So
Yeah.
Jeez.
Like I had to raise almost $10,000 just for my mom. So that I could support her and support my family at home. And we had to live in a hotel for 2 months in Los Angeles. So people don't realize I was fundraising for that. I was also taking care of my kids and my husband, and it was insanity. So the fact that I was able to raise the money and raise enough money to get an immunity, portion. And I did that I think we did that last 1,100 in 36 hours.
Literally.
Yeah.
Literally 36 hours. We did $1,100. So it was just incredible.
Yeah. Unreal. Well, now that, sorry, Brandon, go.
Yep, go, Sean. You're good.
I was going to say, let's talk about the advantage. Let's get talking about the game. I mean,
Couture, I first want to know how your flight was. What were you feeling? Because you flew up. You didn't just drive 20 minutes to Rogers. You flew from Vegas to Minneapolis, Minnesota. Tell me about that flight, A, and B, what you were feeling on that flight when you were coming.
Okay, yeah, we need to hear this too.
So I was super excited. I sat in between a camp counselor on one side who was coming home and a Blackhawk pilot on the other side of me. And I'm like, hi, boys, what can you do to help me get further in this game this weekend? They were like, what the It was so crazy. And I think I was so excited. I didn't sleep the night before getting on the plane. I didn't sleep the night of before the game started because I didn't literally sleep since Wednesday. So I was super, super, super excited. And then I flew in and I was waiting for Sandy from last season hosted me this year, which I'm so grateful, and I love Sandy to death. Thank you for introducing me to her. She's like a second mom to me. Oh my gosh. But so I was waiting for Sandy, and I was super excited, and I was amped up on caffeine, and I think Sandy, when we finally sat down to dinner, Sandy was like, okay, you need to slow down because you're so hyped up right now. It was hilarious because she's excited too, but at the same time, I was so overexcited. When we got into the restaurant, we were at Maynard's, and even the waiter at Maynard's, I was like, "Hey, what are you doing this weekend? Do you want to come see me compete? I'm going to compete in Survivor." It was so funny. I actually invited him out, and I followed him on Instagram. And
what is happening? I love these interviews because we get so much tea from stuff we didn't know.
So that was really fun.
Yeah, that was way more important than getting to the game. Was there even a game? No. Okay, but that's amazing. And actually, I do want to bring that up for any out-of-state people who are nervous about applying. We do our best to try to set you up with a family or anything like that to help this process along. And Couture is a great example of that. Sandy, I know Wade and Wendy, Wade from my season a few years back, they hosted. It's a great experience for everyone. Everyone wants to keep involved. But I will now shift us into the game. So you come walking up, and initially we have, we check you in, and we have, oh my goodness, we check you in. We have the feast. How do we word it? Not feast.
Social.
What am I thinking of?
The social.
Yeah, the social going on. Tell us who was standing out to you during the social.
Yeah,
how
she's
that
drinking
for
a bang.
you. Bang. Are you a bang
need that
girl?
right now?
Yeah, really. What a bang girl. Is this our new unofficial official sponsor?
This is all Brandon and I were chugging bang all weekend after I got voted out.
Yeah.
I was like, Brandon, where's my favorite flavor? Why you gotta bring me this peach stuff?
Oh my goodness. Oh my gosh. That is amazing. We didn't have bang at the social, but you did get it once you were voted off. So talking about that social, tell us a
Okay.
little bit what happened.
So, what's really funny is like now thinking back, going back to the social, I wish I had listened a little bit more to Kim. Hashtag shout out Chaos Kim, because she really, I'm excited to see what happens in future episodes with her, because she's a lot more character than I gave her credit for at the game. So, like during the social, I was doing everything I could to like meet as many people as possible, because I had like, looked at people's profiles like from their pictures and stuff like that to kind of get a feel for like, obviously if you're, young and you're in college and your job is like, or your charity was, you know, um, I mean, let's just use like Ellie, for example. She was like raising money for like an athlete's fund or something like that. I was like, okay.
Myalgia Coalition International.
Oh, that's right. No. That's right. She was for the Fibromyalgia Coalition. But her job title, sorry, her job title was student athlete. And I was like, okay, like,
That's
so
amazing.
I was like, I don't know how much I'm gonna like connect with this girl based on like her thing and my thing. So I was like trying to look at like everybody's stuff to see if there was some sort of bond I could make to them before I got there. And so when I got there, my job, like what I wanted to do was meet as many people as possible and get them to tell me about themselves, because when people get to talk about themselves, they feel important, and then they feel like they're like, that's how you build rapport and relationships with people. So immediately out the door, I wanted to start building relationships with people. So I was asking them like, hey, so what do you do? And oh my gosh, like, are you married? Do you have kids? Do you have animals? Like anything I could do to just try to build some sort of relationship with people. So when that happened though, like we were also like, everybody was milling around and meeting and things like that, and then like we were having to go off and do like initial cast interviews and cast photos and stuff like that. So like there would be like 5 of us in a circle talking, and then all of a sudden they'd be like, okay, so and so come this way, and I'm like, I was just talking to them. And then I'd have to like start over again to the next person. So but the social was really fun. It was really fun. I loved it. It was nice to get to meet people. I was sad because like there were so many people that I did meet at the social that because of when I got voted out of the game, or when they got voted out of the game, I didn't get to meet them or talk to them or play with them, more than that social. But it was still fun. It was a great time. The social was super fun. It was interesting to see like who got up and who didn't, like who was milling around and who actually was just sitting there waiting for people to come to them.
Who was just sitting around waiting for people to come to them?
I'm not going to throw people's names under the bus. Like, that would be mean.
Oh,
Maybe.
that's not mean. It's a different strategy. But so, Katura,
Hold on. One thing I have to tell you guys. At the social, so Kim had just come home from a family vacation, and she had like these super, super, super like chapped, burned lips. Like her lips were blistered. And I was like, oh, here, I have like this really like high advanced like healing ointment for lips in my bag. Do you want some? And she's like, sure, thanks. Oh, thanks for helping me out. Thanks for having my back. Thanks for looking out for me. Just I want to give you a warning. Be careful, because people from around these parts, we'll be really nice to your face, but we'll stab you in the back. And I was like, oh,
these parts.
Okay.
Minnesota nice.
That's what she called it, was Minnesota nice. And I was like, okay, thanks for the warning. I wish I had listened to her, because I felt like she was telling me, I felt like she was warning me about herself. Like, be careful. I'll be nice to you, but I'll stab you in the back. That's kind of how I felt. So anyway, yeah, that's the biggest thing I remember from social.
So when we get I make the announcement that you guys can come. The talking's done. Like, there's no talking allowed. You guys walking in a single file line. What are you thinking when I say we're going to put, I think the verbatim sentence I said is, everyone close your eyes. We're going to start our clash right now. What were you thinking?
I was like, okay, great. Let's get this party started. I was
Did you
super
have an
excited.
idea? Was there a twist, or did you just think it would go like random divide, or like what were you thinking?
I honestly thought it was just going to be a random divide. Like, I just from being a fan of the show in the past, like I know, like you hand out the buff, and then as soon as everybody opens their eyes and sees the buff, then they start looking around to see what teams they're on and like start measuring up right away. So I had hoped that like I was bummed that it was the line that it was. Like I hated that clash the most, honestly. So I was really like I actually was really disappointed that was the clash that happened first. Like, I would have even rather had gone for like a clash of the ages rather than a clash of the genders. But you know, it was what it was. It's just, I was excited because I wanted to get started, but at the same time, I was disappointed because I didn't want to be on an all girls team. I hated that part.
So tell us about camp. So you guys get through the first challenge. Ryan gets every one of you out. You go to your camp. Like, what happens right away?
Okay, so right away, we knew who the first 3 advantage winners were, and 2 of them, was it one of them or 2 of them were females?
One, Sarah.
Sarah, I knew it was Sarah. Okay, because so many females ended up having advantages at the next meetup. But so right away, I knew that if I wanted to, like, I saw Sarah already as a leader because she was being so forward and like, so she's just very charismatic. Like, she's very outgoing, and so I knew right away that, like, personality-wise, we would match up. And I wanted to kind of just walk right in with her because as a leader, it would make natural sense to just fall in line with her. So that was my initial strategy. So as soon as we got to camp, somebody's like, well, oh, Kim, she's like, hey, let's open the tarp and put our bags on it. And so, like, leave it to a bunch of girls to go camping and be like, we don't want to get our bags dirty, so we're going to set them on top of a tarp. So we're like,
throw them wherever.
right? So I was like, okay, sure, whatever. Like, I'm just kind of trying to go with the flow. And Sarah, or not Sarah, but Sarah and I were standing together, and everybody starts opening the tarp, and Kim and Stephanie both dove for the idol because as soon as we opened it, it was like, you guys have played it a couple times already. It was like we had it open, and then like we all kind of went whoosh, and like when we did that, like the idol went flying, and Sarah and Kim both dove for it, literally. And
Steph. You mean Steph?
Or Steph. Yeah, not Sarah. Steph. I'm sure there's B-reel somewhere of me messing up her name like 20,000 times.
It never got aired, Katura. Oh, I need to post this at the end of this interview. I have a scene of you butchering Steph's name. You call her Cheryl, Carolyn, and Stacy. I'll have to send this
to Liz at some point too.
I'm going to send it to Sean because I have it edited and everything, and I will send it to Sean and to add to the end of this as a little extra.
So funny.
But yeah, keep going about the idol thing.
So
Cheryl.
So Steph goes to reach for it. Kim reaches for it. Kim grabs it, but then she tosses it to Steph and was like, here, you take it. Almost like right away she realized what it was and everybody was standing there. So she was like, no, here, you can have it. And so then we're like standing there. We're literally all standing in a circle because we were trying to open up the tarp. And like, I elbowed Sarah and I was like, Sarah, she's got an idol. And so Sarah goes, hey, what you got there? And I was like, I'm so glad Sarah said it and not me. So then Steph's reading it and we're like, well, what does it say, Steph? What does it say? And she's like, I don't know. And she's reading it. And we're like, well, read it out loud. She's like, I'll just read it later. And she puts it away. And like, what just happened? So, anyway, yeah. So that's how camp started for us. And then we started all peeling off, going in different directions, getting firewood, getting confessionals, and I just kept going around to as many different people as I could, and started talking and listening and figuring out what people were doing, and just kind of seeing where alliances were starting to naturally fall. And then we were told that it was time to go back. So we were getting ready to go back, and then we're like, no, wait. Okay, wait, just wait right here. And then we were like in this holding pattern. So then we all sat around and we played Two Truths and a Lie, I think, or Never Have I Ever. I don't know. But leave it up to us to find some campfire game to play. Like a bunch of girls sitting around like the campfire that wasn't started yet because it was still 100 degrees outside, and like and start playing campfire games. So yeah, so that was how camp started that day.
So so you get to camp. I mean, I know we saw you kind of said it yourself, and I think this is very accurate. For most people at the beginning, everyone was just kind of talking to each other, feeling each other out. But then you guys get brought back to the challenge area for that 1,500, well, in I guess 3,000 for Nicole. Those advantages. So before that, who was the name that was being thrown out? And then after you guys got the advantages, did that change anything that was kind of going on? Or kind of tell us about that a little bit.
So getting the advantages didn't change really anything that was going on, because right from the very start, I started like watching what people were doing, and Ellie was very like, I'm just gonna go get firewood. Like, she was very goal driven as far as getting firewood and getting done. And so like people were coming up to her and talking to her, but she wasn't making any effort to go talk to other people. Like people were just like going and talking to her. And so like then when they were done, she'd walk off and go start doing firewood again, which that's great because we had a ton of firewood that night. So thank you, Ellie, so much for doing that.
After you vote her out.
But because of that, people didn't feel as connected to her because she wasn't making any effort to talk to any of us. So she kept going off and doing her own thing. And it's not like she was going off to go do confessionals. She was going off and just getting firewood and just like, okay, whatever. Like, I'm just going to do this, I'm going to do that. So I totally understood when she got voted off and went to the guys and said that she felt more connected to guys and like she could work more with guys, because it was just a natural falling in line for her to do that. I am actually kind of glad that we voted out that way and that was the clash that happened, because it actually, I think, ended up helping Ellie's game in the long run, getting her into a better position for the future of her game.
Yeah. So Steph flushes her idol. What was the game plan there? Like, who was, we saw the Nicole, you, Sarah kind of trio mostly leading that women's tribe at the beginning. Who else was kind of in that for the majority of that, like, split vote? Like, if you had, like, who was in that alliance? Because it wasn't just you three, was it?
Kim was the fourth in our alliance. And ironically, like, I kept like trying to solidify that as an actual alliance. And as much as it was perceived that we were in an alliance and we kept talking about it, like, every time we would talk about it, I would get this like feeling that they were just saying it to save my face kind of thing, or save face with me. Like sure, Katura, yeah, we'll be in an alliance with you. But like I didn't feel it. Like, it didn't feel sincere. So I was very like hesitant about that alliance as it was. I love that it did show that we were in an alliance, because I'm glad that people did see that. But I was what people didn't see is that the entire time I was trying to make an alliance with Sarah and Maggie. Like, I kept pushing, like I kept going to Serena and I was like, Serena, or like, what are you and Maggie doing? Like, I know you and Maggie are tight. Like, what are you and Maggie doing? Like, I want to be in an alliance with you and Maggie. I want to be in an alliance with you and Maggie. And she kept saying, well, like she told me she was in an alliance with her and Maggie and Hannah. And she's like, I guess it's just going to depend on what happens with Hannah and how Maggie feels about it, because like, we're in an alliance with Hannah. And I was like, okay, I respect that. Like, I totally respect that. And then Serena voted off Hannah. I was like, what? How did that happen? So Serena, I have to say, Serena's gameplay, watching and being there, is the one that is impressing me the most so far. I can't wait to see like how it continues to play out. But like, I really did try to get into that alliance with her and Maggie, and then of course that ended up being the one that took me out.
So Ellie goes to the guys as her fitting, as she said, it fit well. Bobby ends up being voted blindsided by the guys, and comes to you guys. And my question, I had the same question for, I mean, me and Sean had the same question for Hannah. Why not vote him out? That's an easy vote. I mean, what was going on? Were you guys already that fractured that a stranger could infiltrate the women, or kind of what was going on after that swaparoo?
I looked at Bobby as an asset for challenges, knowing that we were going to have some physical challenges and some mental challenges, and he was good at both. So I looked at him as, because it was so early in the game, I looked at him as an asset moving forward. And knowing that more swaps and more challenges and more surprises were going to be coming, I knew that there was going to be an opportunity at some point that he would be able to get out. But at that very minute, I saw him as a strategic alliance moving forward. I actually tried to bring him into Nicole, Kim, and me and Sarah. So I tried to bring him into that alliance because that would have made us 5-5. And knowing that Hannah had just been voted out, it would have made us really unified, because the rest of the girls weren't unified. They were like, we knew Maggie and Serena were solid, but nobody else was really solid. So if we brought Bobby into our side and we had a very dominating game, then at least I knew that this crew right here, we were going to play hard. And that's really what I wanted to do. And I think I said it even in my tribal, is that like, I came here to play a game and I wanted to play. And if I was going to be voted out, I wanted to be in a crew that was actually playing the game and not just picking off because it was easy.
Yeah, and at that beginning, Katura, we see. I mean, we've seen a ton of Sarah this season. Was she really spearheading it that aggressively, or were you saying like, let's vote out Hannah, or was it literally like Sarah dictating the ship, and you and Nicole were kind of just in the back, like, okay, I mean, I don't want the target, or were you guys saying the names and we just haven't seen it?
I think there was, I mean, Sarah was definitely the spearhead. I don't think dictator is a very kind word to use, but she was very, very much the leader. And again, Sarah is very outgoing. She's very charismatic. So she's easily likable, but she's very alpha. Like, even I was like, ooh, she's alpha. Like, I knew where my place was next to that. And I knew from the very beginning, I knew that Nicole was right next to her. So I knew that like Sarah was going to protect Nicole at any point that she could, like during that time that we were together. So because they were so fierce and so strong and so aggressive, if I didn't fall in line behind them, I was going to be a very easy target. Because as much as I was like still like trying to feel out the other girls, nobody was committal. Like, everyone was very much, not everyone I should say, because Maggie and Serena were obviously very tight, but the rest of the girls were very like, oh, I don't know, okay, very like flowy. And Sarah, Nicole, and Kim and I were the ones that were just like, we're moving. Yeah.
So Hannah gets voted out. You guys go back to camp. I think the funniest scene is like, you guys aren't even back at camp, and Sarah is like whispering in you and Kim's ears on the way back, like, Serena flipped. We need to get Serena out. What? Serena actually voted Hannah out. What was going on? Or was it just that much paranoia and that at that point in the game, just starting, that people were just assuming people weren't with who they said they were?
No, right from that moment, it was, we saw Serena coming up as somebody to be a contender with. Like, we saw her immediately as she was going to be, because people were starting to fall in line behind her. So like, we immediately saw that coming up, and we knew that if we didn't want to compete against her for votes, that we were going to need to get her out now and get her out before jury. So that was the goal for that.
So everything kind of swaps up. What is your initial thought when you see that we're in 3 tribes and you see who you're with? At that point in the game, were you feeling okay with the 4-2 up, or kind of what were you feeling?
So right before that swap, as we were camping overnight and people were starting to make like plans, I kept saying over and over again, you guys, something's coming in the morning. I can feel it. Something's coming. Don't be set on this plan because you're not going to get that chance. You're not going to get that far. Something's coming. It's too early in the game to go that dead. Like something's going to happen immediately when we get up to like rival or to like shake it all up. So, and I think anybody who's been a Survivor fan would know, like, you'd never sit on your laurels for too long because something's always coming that's going to shake it up, and you can't, it's blinding, like, what comes your way. So I think when we went into that tribal, the first thing that happened, and when we went into that challenge and then we got our buff swap, Bobby was like, yep, you called it, coach. I was like, I called it. Everybody knows, like, something's happening here. So I was excited for that. When I saw that we split into 3, I was a little bit nervous because I saw the way that our group had split up. Right at that moment, what's really funny is that we were actually at that minute, if we had gone to a surprise like rush tribal, or it was going to be like a surprise rush thing for the 2 tribes, we were going for Nicole. So yeah, it was
What?
me, Kim, and I forget who the other couple were. I think it was like me, Kim, and Bobby, and like 2 more. And we were going to go for Nicole because she was going to, after that challenge, or right at that challenge, is when her immunity went out. And because she was going right behind Sarah, we knew that if we didn't get Nicole out now, she was going to go farther with Sarah. But we didn't get that chance. So, yeah. So the switch happens. I'm excited because I knew stuff was going to go. Seeing the lineup that they were in, I knew stuff was going to go. That was kind of that was an expected vote out on that side. And then in our group, though, I was excited to have the boys. And right at first, when it was just the 2 of them, it was me and Kim, it was Maggie and Serena, and it was Elder and RJ. And Elder was one of the few people that could have been voted out. So it didn't make sense. Like, if we were to stay with our alliance, and we kept talking about previous seasons, how like if you stayed true to your original groups, like your original tribes, then you got farther in the game. And so Kim kept pushing, like, we need to stay strong because this was our original tribe. Like, let's stay together. And I think you saw it in the last episode, as I said, listen, okay, if we do this vote, then when we get to this, it's all everyone for themselves. Like, everyone goes for their own game at that point. But let's get to the merge. And that was my goal for that vote, was to get to the merge. So I was on board with voting out Elder, just because I didn't have any problem with him. I didn't have any game against him. It wouldn't have been like, if he had gone to jury, it wouldn't have been anything that he could have really taken against me, because it was just one of those situations that it would have been an easy vote and just go. I have to say, I admire Serena for saying that she voted the way she did, because she didn't want to go along the gender line. Like, she didn't want to have that social construct in the game. And so she was willing to make a big move to do that swap. But RJ had said, Maggie actually is putting your name out. It's Maggie. Go for Maggie, or like, I don't know what's going to happen. And because I had wanted to go with Serena and Maggie for so long, I came back to RJ and I said, I'm willing to flip on Kim if you guys want to flip on Kim. And so right as we were going in, me, RJ, and Elder were going to vote for Kim, knowing that Maggie and Serena were going to vote for me, and Kim was going to vote for Elder. That's the way that it was supposed to go. And
what happened?
Yeah, I was going to say, definitely didn't.
Okay, so if I had stayed true to what I said I was going to do, then Kim would have been gone and I would have stayed.
So you inadvertently voted yourself out, is what
I
you're saying?
inadvertently voted myself out because at the very last minute, I thought, okay, I've been trying to build an alliance so strong. And Maggie and Serena kept saying, we're voting out Elder, we're voting out Elder, we're voting out Elder. Like they were definite. Maggie was like, we're going for Elder, like Elder needs to go. So I trusted Maggie and Serena. And because I wanted to show my loyalty to them for building my alliance with them moving forward, that's why I trusted them and I went for it. I should have gone with the game that I wanted to play, which was to vote out Kim.
So what was Kim doing? We haven't honestly seen I mean, we've seen her in conversations. It's been fun to watch her just throw everything out and interrogate everybody. Her game's been really fun and aggressive. But what about her have we not seen? Because she got the hashtag Chaos Kim at last Tribal, but we haven't seen a lot of like the one-on-one confessionals from her. So what was Kim's like kind of game at that point? Why her name was being thrown out?
Kim literally was like, okay, so we're gonna do this, right? Okay, all right, bye. And then she would like go to the next person, and she would like break up a conversation, and she'd walk up and like I was talking to Elder, and she'd come up to Elder, and she goes, Elder, can I have a word with you? And then they would be gone, and I was like standing there looking at RJ, like, okay, so I'm ready to vote her out. And then she did the same thing. She went up to Maggie and Serena, and she was like, Serena, I need to have some word with you. And so she would kept going up and like breaking up people's conversations, and just would like ping pong all over the place. And then she was like, okay, do we have the numbers? 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 But we don't have the numbers. Like, what are the numbers? Go over the numbers. And she kept going and going and going and going and going. And so that's why she got the name Chaos Kim, is because she was like so frantic and breaking as much up as possible and going back around and around and around and around and around. So that's why she got the name Chaos Kim.
I love that. So, you go into that tribal. So the split vote happened for a potential idol. Then the revote happens. Why do you know why RJ voted, or do you have an assumption? I mean, if you know, don't tell us. But what was your assumption why there was the 2-1? Did Serena and Maggie want you out that bad, or did RJ and Elder genuinely? Yeah, Kim was super fun to watch, and it was really dramatic, and it was really cool. But what was funny is I didn't even know that she had thrown out that you had an idol. Well, when was that?
Right as we were walking up, like right as we were walking up to the tribal, she threw it out. And then as we're walking into tribal, she whispers in my ear, and she's like, Katura, play your idol. And I go, Kim, I don't have an effing idol, okay? I don't know why you keep saying everybody has an idol. I don't have an effing idol. And she was like, okay, Katura, play your idol. And I'm like, Kim, why do you have an idol? Like, I was so annoyed at that stage.
So do you think if you would have, I mean, because it was also interesting is Maggie was very kind of under the radar in this episode. It was like, hello, Maggie. Was that genuinely how she was? Very like soft spoken and quiet, and then like bam, her wheels on her truck started moving.
That's exactly how she was. She was very under the radar, very non-committal, very nonchalant, very soft-spoken. Like almost where I was like, come on, like let's do something here. Like I just wanted to play so bad. I just wanted to play, and I just wanted people to come play with me. And so like I was like, come on, somebody do something, and she did. She took me out.
Right. So you get voted out. We saw your exit interview. I cried at it. I genuinely, openly, I cried watching your exit interview. What were those emotions like in the moment?
My very first emotion was that I was super angry. I was so angry because I was like, you know, you guys just basically, and I said it in my interview, I was like, I'm just going to take it as a compliment because you guys saw me as a big enough threat that you didn't want to have to go up against me anymore. You wanted to be able to, like, and obviously, like, your goal is you want to advance in your game as far as you can. So I just tried to spin it in a positive way where I was like, they felt like I was too much of a leader and that I was going to go farther if they kept me around. So they had to get rid of me. So, but I was super angry. And in fact, the whole weekend, while I was hanging out with some of the other contestants that had gotten voted out, as we were talking and things like that, I was like, everyone kept telling who they were voting for, and I was like, oh no. I hope she gets out this tribal right now. Like, so every tribal we would go to, I was like, just waiting. I was waiting. I wanted to see who got voted out because I wanted to be able to be like, ah! And I've had great conversations with all of these people ever since. And like, honestly, watching the game being played out from the perspective that we're at now, like seeing it being edited and like coming into play, I love the game so much more, and I love the experience so much more now, getting to see what everybody else was going through too, because you only see your part of it. So.
Yeah. So, Katura, tell us about, Survivor is, I mean, you're playing for $1 million in Survivor. Did the charity element of this event, change your feelings? Like, do you think some of your emotions voting out was partly and due to your charity, or did the charity aspect really not affect any emotional type of state with this game?
Oh, the charity aspect affected a whole bunch of it, because you build up going into it for the charity. Like, there's no other reason that I would have gone as far as I did and worked as hard as I did to get where I did if it wasn't for the fact I was doing it for charity. Because I don't do stuff for myself like that very much. So you don't work that hard to get to that stage and then get there just to give up. Like, at least I don't. I know that there have been some people in the past and in other seasons that for one reason or another, they were just like, I'm done. I don't even want to bother. Like, go ahead and vote me out, or I'm not going to play very hard. But for me, I had to fly across country to do this. I literally was eaten alive by mosquitoes. I wasn't going to go home, which we need to talk about that before my section is over.
That was on my list.
What about that?
The mosquitoes.
The seabird of Minnesota attacking her.
Did you get like anything for, did someone give you anything for that? I don't even remember.
We'll talk about that in just a second. Hold on. Because
what?
Had I not been there for charity, I wouldn't have sacrificed as much as I did, like getting there. And I wouldn't have worked as hard to get there or to stay in it, because I didn't want to come home empty-handed, and I didn't want to come home with not having the best representation for my charity as possible. So yes, that has a huge element in it, and kudos to you guys for doing this event this way, because I've seen, now that I've been introduced to this subculture of fans, I've seen so many like options to do things kind of similar to this. Nothing I have seen is on this level with and involves charity. So I love that you guys do this, and I'll do it again if I ever get a chance. So.
And that's exactly what we say. This, you can go to other states, you can do all this, you can compete in a backyard Survivor anywhere, but we try to make this about something more while giving everyone a unique experience of a lifetime. And I think that seeing you and seeing so many others, it just is a testament to that. So, yeah.
Okay, so can we talk about these mosquitoes first?
Yeah, let's talk about the mosquitoes. Please, let's bring up the mosquitoes.
Do you have those in Vegas?
So, not really. We do in some small areas, but the mosquitoes in Vegas are...
More casinos than mosquitoes?
More casinos than mosquitoes, that is correct. So the problem with mosquitoes is that in Las Vegas, they carry the West Nile virus. So if you're bitten by a mosquito, you are a very high chance of getting West Nile or encephalitis. And so me getting bit by a mosquito, I was like freaking out, because I don't get bit by mosquitoes because we don't have that kind of stuff around like where I live. You have to like go out to like the lakes areas to go, or the marshes to do that. And I don't go out there, right? Because they tell you don't go out there and get bit or else you're going to like die. So literally.
It's like Mean Girls.
I was like freaking out because I was being bitten by all these mosquitoes. So, true story, going back to Chaos Kim and Minnesota Nice, she sends me a picture after she gets home and says, I just wanted to show you, I had this 99.1 Dietz mosquito repellent for extreme deep woods situations, and I had it the whole time, watching you suffer and being eaten alive, and did not want to share it with you.
This did not happen.
It happened. There's proof. It's in our group. There's proof. I will show you.
looked so painful. Your
was.
whole legs were swelled up, and you can see it in the
And
episode.
we didn't get the exact zoom in footage of your legs, but the picture that I posted in that group message from Social Butterfly, who takes awesome, very good pictures, definitely showed it. We'll have to post that at the end of this too, so people genuinely see what your legs looked like. It looked like a pepperoni pizza that was uncooked.
If you look in the episode, like I was watching with my nieces and nephews the other day, and my niece looked at me and she's like, "What is on your neck? Is that a bug bite?" And if you are watching in the episode, you'll see all down the side of my face and my neck was swollen with bug bites. So,
Oh my gosh.
yeah.
So, looking back at this experience, Katura, are you glad you did it, and kind of what did you take away from it?
I'm so glad I did it. And I don't know how many times I probably have sent you a text message with me being in tears. Like, just, I'm so glad I did this. It was the most amazing experience of my life. I've done a lot of really cool stuff in my life. Like, I've traveled all over the world. I've, toured with rock bands. I work for, an amazing best-selling author. I've met and done some of the coolest stuff you could ever do in this world. And this was definitely probably top one or two. Like, besides having my family and my kids, this is definitely the best experience I've ever had in my life. So I would definitely do this again. I would do it all over again. I would do it exactly the same way if I could. If I come back and do it again, I hope I get to play with some really amazing people next year or whenever, like, I would definitely do this all over again. Best experience of my life.
Awesome. And kind of tell us, what are kind of your plans now? What is life bringing you? What are you up to in your daily life now that this event is obviously done and over a little bit? What are you doing?
Right now I am just, my mom is healthy again. So I am just taking care of my kids. I have two beautiful little girls and a husband, and we are building a house right now. So I'm just getting ready to move into our house. We have a new puppy, which she's sleeping. I don't know if you
Cute.
guys can see her. She's sleeping down there.
Blurry but cute. Oh.
Yeah, so we have a new puppy, and I'm just trying to enjoy not being in a world of chaos right now, and that's why I took the season off from cheer. I'm just enjoying like being home with my kids, and I have been approached about doing a couple different other like spin-offs and reality shows. So I'm hoping that maybe, I'm seeing where things fall in the calendar, and maybe I'll hop onto one of those.
So this
And
event opened up other games for you.
Many doors.
it did.
That's exciting.
I would love to. I'm thinking about applying for one of the actual reality shows, which I've never actually applied before. But I've been talking with Danny from last season, and I don't know. We got some things we might be doing together.
That's exciting. And
Yeah.
Katura, kind of last but not least, do you have any advice for anybody that might watch this that is on the fence about applying?
Do it. Do it. Never. I have always said, never waste an opportunity. Um, do it, because if you don't apply, you might not ever get the chance. And watching it is not nearly the same as being there and living it. And if you have an opportunity to have a life-changing experience like this, do it. Do it, because it will change you. It changes who you are at your core. It's amazing, and it sounds so cliche because you heard people from other seasons say that, but until you've experienced it yourself, you don't understand it, and it's just the camaraderie of the contestants, the spirit of the event, the authenticity of everything that happens there. Like, seriously, the authenticity of this event and the filming was so good. Like, it was so strong. I mean, I've made friends for life that I never would have made if I hadn't come out and done it. So do it. Do it, do it, do it. Don't hesitate. Just throw your name in the hat. You never know what life might throw at you.
That's exactly right. And thank you for being literally everything. Your heart shows through everything you do. Coach K literally should have a heart following you at all times because, like I said, in your fundraising, in your game, in your passion in general, one thing that you have shown us is how big of a heart you have and how you put in all you do. And it's amazing.
Thank you. And thanks for making sure I was edited that way too.
It wasn't hard.
That's our editor. That's
Wow.
not me, but I think, Katura, I almost called you Coach K. Kind of finishing this up, do you feel that your edit was portrayed of how you played and kind of what was happening in real time in your perspective?
Oh, totally. I mean, there are some things I wish had been included, but then there's like some things like that be real that of me like butchering Shelly's name or Steph's name. Like
I'm gonna send that to
purpose,
Sean.
Steph. I knew it was your name, Steph. But no, like that I wish had been included. But other than that, like all of this was been so true and so authentic. Like I said, the editing was done so expertly. And honestly, the film crew and the editing crew that you guys have is just like second to none. I'm in shock. Like I wasn't expecting it to be as good as it is. And I mean, like I have like all kinds of friends that are watching it and super impressed by it. So,
Awesome.
and can I just say one more thing? I'm sorry, like I have to include this. I was a huge McCrae fan before this all happened, and I had no idea until I got to sit down and watch the episodes that he was even involved. And then to get out there and to see him, and like I was like, oh my gosh, I'm meeting McCrae.
Yeah, he's awesome.
McCrae was my favorite person on like any episode of Big Brother ever on any season. He has always been my favorite. And so like to get out there and meet him, I was like, oh my gosh, it's McCrae. Like I loved you. So
Yeah,
That's amazing.
Minnesota gave us McCrae and Janelle. So yes.
I love McCrae. And I love watching the episodes together with the whole crew on his channel too. Like that's fun on his Twitch channel. So.
Yeah.
Okay, guys. Anything else for me?
I don't believe so. Brandon,
No.
do you have anything?
No, you gave us good content, and as always, Katura, you are one of a kind. I'm so happy that you are one of our out-of-staters we casted, because like I said, out-of-state applications, honestly, me and Sean will say it, is honestly very competitive. So I don't know, you're incredible, your charity, your gameplay, you as a person. I even remember watching at the social, I was like, this woman is amazing. Like watching, because we watch you interact and you're like, hello. It's like, yeah, it was just really fun to have you. So super happy to have you a part of this event, and we hope you stay connected with us. So
thank you. Thank you guys for having me. I appreciate it. I love you all. I can't wait to watch the rest of the episodes. I hope everybody enjoys them.
all right.
Yep, love you so much. Yep. Okay, I will end this now.